When your dog hides from you, do you actually know what that means? You might think they just want space. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're being a little moody. But behind that quiet retreat, there's something deeper that most dog owners completely miss. It's one of the most vulnerable things your dog can do. And if you misunderstand it, which most owners do, you might miss a critical signal that something is wrong. Let's start with what this behavior really means. 1. The myth of they just want to be alone. Your dog suddenly disappears under the bed or behind the couch or into a corner you rarely see them use, and you think they just need some quiet time. Most people think it's about independence, that dogs, like humans, sometimes just want to be alone. Here is what's actually happening. Dogs are not wired like that. Unlike humans, dogs are pack animals. Being alone doesn't comfort them. It usually does the opposite. So when your dog chooses isolation, it's not relaxation. It's a signal, an emotional signal. Think about that for a second. Your dog is choosing distance from the one thing that normally makes them feel safe, you. That doesn't happen without a reason. In the wild, separation from the pack increases vulnerability. So when your dog hides, it often means they feel something is wrong internally or externally. What this reveals about how your dog sees you. You are their safe place. So if they're avoiding you, it's not because they don't trust you. It's because something is overriding that trust. And this is where most owners get it wrong. 2. The science of hiding pain. Have you ever noticed your dog hiding more when they're not feeling well? Most people assume dogs show pain clearly whining, limping, obvious distress. Here is what's actually happening. Dogs are biologically wired to hide weakness. A 2018 study in Animal Behavior Science found that many mammals, including domestic dogs, instinctively conceal signs of pain to avoid appearing vulnerable. But what matters is this. Your dog isn't trying to confuse you. They're trying to protect themselves. Emotionally, hiding is their version of saying, something isn't right and I don't feel safe showing it. Think about that for a second. Even in your home, where there is no real threat, that instinct is still active. And here's where it gets deeper. Canine cognition research suggests dogs don't separate past instinct from present safety. So, even though you provide food, warmth, and care, their brain still reacts like survival is on the line. What this reveals about how your dog sees you. They trust you, but instinct can still take over. And when it does, they withdraw instead of reaching out. 3. Hiding is a scent-based safety response. Have you ever noticed where your dog chooses to hide? Under furniture, in closets, behind objects that carry familiar smells. Most people think it's random. Here's what's actually happening. Your dog is choosing locations that feel safe through scent and enclosure. Dogs experience the world through smell first, sight second. So when they feel overwhelmed, they move towards spaces that trap familiar scents. Think about that for a second. They're not just hiding, they're surrounding themselves with what feels predictable. Studies on domestic dogs show that scent familiarity significantly reduces stress levels. That means your dog is actively trying to regulate their emotions. And here's the emotional part most people miss. They're not running away from you. They're trying to recreate safety in a smaller, more controlled space. What this reveals about how your dog sees you, you are still their safe base. But in that moment, the world or their body feels too overwhelming to face directly. And by the way, if your dog suddenly starts hiding in places they've never used before, don't ignore it. Well, come back to that later, because it means more than most people realize. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more dog owners who actually want to understand what their dog is really saying. 4. This behavior starts in puppyhood. Think about a litter of puppies. When they feel scared, cold, or unsure, what do? They don't run outward. They burrow inward. Most people assume hiding is a learned behavior. Here is what's actually happening. It's deeply instinctual. From birth, puppies seek enclosed, protected spaces for survival. It's how they avoid predators. It's how they regulate temperature. It's how they feel secure. Think about that for a second. That instinct never disappears. It just evolves. Instead of hiding from predators, your dog might be hiding from stress, fear, or pain. And here's where it gets even deeper. Wolves and wild canines isolate themselves when injured or unwell, not because they want to leave the pack, but because they don't want to slow it down or draw attention. What this reveals about how your dog sees you, they still see themselves as part of a system, and when something feels off, their instinct is not to burden the group, so they quietly step away. 5. They don't do this with everyone. Here is something most people overlook. Your dog doesn't hide the same way in every environment. Sometimes, they only hide in your presence, or only when certain people are around, or only in specific situations. Most people think hiding is just about the dog's personality. Here is what's actually happening. It's selective, and that selectivity matters. Think about that for a second. Your dog is making a decision consciously or instinctively about when and where to withdraw. That means something in that environment is triggering uncertainty. But here's the emotional twist. If your dog hides in your home, but not elsewhere, it doesn't mean your home is unsafe. It often means your dog feels safe enough there to finally let their guard down. What makes this even more powerful is hiding can actually be a sign of trust, because your dog believes they can process discomfort without needing to stay alert. What this reveals about how your dog sees you, you're not the threat. You're the background safety that allows vulnerability to exist. 6. The real message. I don't feel right. Let's bring this all together. Your dog hides. You call them. They don't come. And it feels like distance. But here's what's actually happening. It's communication. Just not the kind you expect. Think about that for a second. Your dog doesn't have words, so they use behavior. And hiding is one of the clearest signals they have when something feels wrong. Not playful wrong, not leave me alone wrong, but deep, internal discomfort. This is where most owners get it wrong. They ignore it because it's quiet. But quiet doesn't mean harmless. In many cases, hiding is the first visible sign of pain, anxiety, overstimulation, or even illness. And remember earlier when I've mentioned your dog choosing new hiding spots? This is what that really means. When the location changes suddenly, it often signals escalation. Something is getting worse, not better. What this reveals about how your dog sees you. They're not rejecting you. They're relying on you to notice what they can't explain. 7. When hiding becomes a warning sign. So what happens if your dog suddenly starts hiding more than usual, or avoids interaction altogether? Most people wait. They assume it will pass. Here's what's actually happening. You might be missing a critical window. Think about that for a second. By the time dogs show obvious symptoms, they've often been feeling something for a while. Hiding is early, subtle, easy to ignore, but incredibly important. If your dog's behavior changes suddenly, new hiding spots, less interaction, avoiding touch, reduced appetite, don't brush it off, because this isn't just behavior anymore. It's information. And ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It delays understanding. So when your dog hides from you, what does it really mean? It's not just about wanting space. It's not moodiness. It's not random. That's not independence. That's vulnerability. Your dog isn't shutting you out. They're signaling that something doesn't feel right. And that behavior was never small to your dog, and it shouldn't be small to you either.